Do the Jews have the right to take over the land of Israel in a hostile way, right? And the simple answer is no. Do you know Abraham, when he came to the land of Israel, he was told by God that the land of Israel is his. And therefore, he felt that he had the right to the entire land of Israel. Yet, he paid big bucks to buy the burial plot in Hebron for his wife. Why did he pay money if he believed he owned it himself? And you know what? I don't know if you know this, but they actually offered it to Abraham for free. Yeah, they offered it for free. So they're offering it for free. He believes he owns it. Why on earth would anybody pay for a piece of land that they believe they own when they're actually being offered it for free? So Abraham realized that even though God promised him the land of Israel, okay, doesn't mean that you can do a hostile takeover. Okay, and by the way, that's actually one of the reasons, okay, one of the reasons that the Jewish people, that certain religious people today don't accept the state of Israel and even try to argue with the existence of state of Israel is because Jews, even though all Jews, including those very people that are opposed to the state of Israel, all Jews believe that the land of Israel is the native land that the Jewish people promised to us by God, and it is ours. The only question is, do the Jewish people have the right to take it over in a violent way or not? That's the whole question. That's the whole question that we're dealing with right now, is do the Jews have the right to take over the land of Israel in a hostile way, right? And the simple answer is no. No, we're not allowed to take over the land of Israel in a hot. When Moses came, he had a direct command from God, and by the way, he didn't do it, Joshua did. But Joshua was a prophet, and as a prophet of God, he was told specifically to take it over, even using violence. However, in order to take over the land of Israel properly, according to the Torah, we need a properly certified prophet. And a properly certified prophet in Judaism is not an easy feat. It doesn't just happen, properly certified prophets. No, the reason why the Jewish people didn't accept a lot of people that other people accepted as prophets, right, is because we have a certification process. Most of the world, if you want to certify a prophet, you know what you have to do to be a certified prophet? Get a couple idiots to believe you're a prophet. That's the way to become a certified prophet in the world, okay? Get a couple of idiots to believe you're a prophet, and once they believe you're a prophet, then you know what you can do? You can basically convince people that are a little less idiots that you're a prophet, because they believe in a prophet, so maybe not them. What about them? Let's get back to the point. I want to get back to the point over here, okay? We're getting off point, okay? The Jewish people are not allowed to forcefully take over Israel unless they have a certified prophet, and being a certified prophet is not so easy. It's not that anybody that wants could stand up and say, I'm a prophet, and we have to believe they're a prophet. That's not the way it works. Okay? There's a whole process, there's a whole, we check them, we ask them, we need to make them prove themselves. I'm not going to get into that because it's a separate lesson. Okay? We're not allowed to take over the land of Israel in a hostile way, and that's that, without a prophet, and we don't yet have a prophet that told us to take over Israel in a hostile way. That is why many Jews, they believe that it is prohibited for the Jewish nation to take over Israel in a hostile way, and that's why they're against the state of Israel. However, there's a few different points to this. Number one, did the Jews take over Israel in a hostile way or not? No. Dan Tzaddik says they didn't. No. What do you mean? What about all the wars that Israel's having? They're not hostile?
Defend ourselves.
So if you actually look at that, what's that?
But we also pay for land. At high price too.
Okay, so there's a good argument that the Jewish people never took over the land of Israel in a hostile way. We never did it. Never happened. Again, but who gives the UN the right to take over the land? It's not so simple. I don't like the argument of the UN because the UN has no right to give away other people's land. So when we stand there and say, the UN gave us the land, well, who the heck are you, Mr. UN, to give away the land? Okay, no, you don't have the right to the land. Who gives you the right to take over the land? Okay, The truth is that the Jewish people began, well, there was always Jewish people that lived in Israel. There was never a time in history that there were not Jewish people that lived in Israel. There was always Jewish people that lived in Israel. Always was. And always will be, Bezrat Hashem. Okay?
5,000-ish years.
Well, ever since we came, the Jews were always here. Okay? Now, in the 20th century, when the Zionist movement came big, initially the Zionist movement were not coming and taking over lands with arms. They actually were moving to Israel. They were buying land. They were setting up communities. Okay? They were not taking over the land in a hostile way. Now what happened is that our neighbors, cousins, whatever you want to call them, over here in Israel, they didn't like the fact that there was this massive movement of Jews moving to Israel, okay, that were peacefully purchasing the land and settling the land. That's the fact. That's what happened in the early 20th century. So Jews were moving to Israel, buying land, settling the land, building Jewish communities, and our neighbors didn't like that. So they tried to kick us out. And if you actually look historically, people say 1948. No, in 1929, look, in 1929, there was a massive pogrom where people in the name of Al-Aqsa Mosque went and murdered Jews. They tried to murder Jews in Jerusalem, but what happened is there was a massive a militia that protected the Jewish people in Jerusalem. They then went to Hebron, and in Hebron they massacred something like 70 people for nothing, right? Now that was in 1929. These were the people in Hebron that were massacred. They bought their houses, they purchased their houses fair and square. They were actually registered under the Ottoman Empire, which was a Muslim caliphate. They were registered under the Ottoman Empire as purchasing pieces of land, yet they were killed not because they were stealing land, but they were killed because they were Jews. Now, what happened is once we had a problem, what was the problem? Once we had a problem that the Jews that were living here peacefully were being attacked and killed, so then they had to defend themselves. They had no choice but to defend themselves. And the only proper method that they figured out was necessary to defend themselves was to create an official country. Right? Now, if that's the case, did the Jews make a hostile takeover over the land of Israel? The answer is no. We were forced by the facts on the ground to defend ourselves, which in fact is why we took up arms. We didn't take up arms to steal Israel or to take Israel. Again, even though we believe it is ours, we believe that Israel was always ours. However, we believe that it's not right to take it over in a hostile way. But we weren't taking it over in a hostile way. We moved here in a peaceful way. Then we were attacked and we were forced to defend ourselves. Now that is not included in the prohibition. Meaning if you need to defend yourself, you have the right to defend yourself. Right? Now, if the Jews came and kicked Arabs out of the land just for the sake of kicking them out, then that would be wrong, and it's something that the Jews would have to deal with. The only question is if we've ever done that, and I haven't yet seen in history where we did that. Even though there were certain wars where we did kick Arabs out of their land, but the question is, did we kick them out because we were trying to take over the land, or did we kick them out because that was the only strategy that the army saw to maintain peace? Okay, and the proof of that is we didn't kick the Arabs out of every place that they were. We only kicked the Arabs out of certain very particular places that they were. Some of them we gave them back. Some we didn't give them all. Let's be honest. We didn't give it all back. But the fact is that we didn't kick all the Arabs out. We kicked certain Arabs out of areas that we felt that strategically we could not have them there and maintain peace.
What if it comes up in the comments about settlements?
Settlements, again, as I said, the Jewish people are prohibited from, even though we believe we rightfully own the entire land of Israel, okay, we're prohibited from taking over land by use of violence. Now, any use of violence to take over land is actually prohibited by Jewish law and should not be done. The only question is when and if that's actually happening, and you have to look at each case. It's not so simple. For example, many of the settlements were started on unoccupied land. They say, they basically saw no one was using this mountain, right? So they went in and they started building houses, and they started building farms, etc. They didn't go, like, put it this way, if there was, say, for example, an Arab living somewhere, and the Jews came and kicked him out of his house randomly for no reason other than to take over his land, that would be 100% prohibited by Jewish law, and if it happened, we need to deal with it. And again, I'm not getting into particular situations because I didn't do enough research to decide whether that happens a lot, whether it happens a little bit, etc. But if it does, if Arabs were kicked out of the land only for the purpose of taking their land, that would be 100% prohibited by Judaism, and I'm not sure that ever happened in the land of Israel, in the recent past. Okay, as I said, it's very different when you're kicking somebody out because he's posing a danger to you, right? So you're not kicking him out because you want to steal his land. You're kicking him out because he himself is posing a danger on you, which is his fault. Okay, and if he was not posing a danger, we wouldn't kick him out. Right, and as somebody here mentioned, we have what's his name? Blind watchmaker. He points out very, very importantly, there's over 1 million citizens, Arab citizens in Israel. Okay, which means that we're obviously not kicking. If they're willing to live with us peacefully, we are not allowed to kick them out, even though we believe we own the land. We're not allowed to kick them out because there's a concept of maintaining peace. I wouldn't say maintaining status quo, but it's more about maintaining peace. That Jewish people are commanded not to do anything that disrupts peace. Now again, sometimes you're in a situation where you're stuck and you don't have a choice. And that's when you need to defend yourself, and that's a separate situation, and you have to really think about when it's just and when it's not just. All right? The opponents of Jews in Israel are very, very powerful and very, very, they're not easy to fight, man. There's a lot of people that care that the Jews are here in Israel. I mean, they're like, if the Jews are in Israel, then what? What's the big deal if we're here? What's going on? Why do you care if we're here? Right? For some reason, there's people that really bothers them that the Jews are here in Israel. I don't know, these people, they're trying to throw it as bombs, they're trying to, who knows what. As a matter of fact, yesterday I was in my bed, and my wife got up in the middle of the night to close the window, and it was like, it made like a noise, and I like jumped out of bed. I'm like, uh-oh, what's going on here? Right? I thought that maybe it was an alarm, because we have the alarms that tell us to the alarms to tell us to go to the shelter. I actually thought we were being alarmed. It was very scary. It was my wife shutting the window. Right? And because of that, I had to wake up in the middle of the night, because there were times where the alarms actually were real, and we actually had to run to the shelter. Anyways, it's a little bit of I wouldn't say frightening time, but a nervous time here in Israel. And Bezrat Hashem, we actually told that the month of Av is actually, it's the month that the temple was destroyed. There are those that say that this is the month as well that the temple will be rebuilt in the month of Av. Okay, so if you're ready to build the temple, all right? I'm ready to build the temple if they let us. Who do we have to ask? Huh? We have to ask Mashiach. Huh? Mashiach, where's Mashiach? Okay, anybody out there know where Mashiach is? Put it in the comments if you know where Mashiach is.
It's right here.
Huh?
Right here.
Where?
Here.
I want to see him. And it's actually very possible because they keep on shooting missiles at us. Iran is threatening to shoot a bunch of missiles at us, and they want to shoot it at Jerusalem as well. Maybe they just might shoot a missile at that, whatever that is on the place of the temple, and if they happen to get lucky enough, it'll knock it down, and then we can build a temple. Again, I don't want to sound controversial here. No, I do want to sound controversial, let's to be honest. But the point is that I wouldn't say to go on the Temple Mount and destroy that building in order to build a temple, because that's, we don't start fights. We don't have the rights to start fights. But if they knock it down anyways, then that's their fault. They knocked it down, then we can do our job, right? No, it's true, by the way.